Hello everyone, I'm Cursor. The Homeworld 3 first look trailer just dropped and has quite a few things going on in it, so let's take a closer look. The trailer is narrated by a female voice, and I think everyone familiar with the Homeworld franchise immediately jumps to the conclusion that the narrator is Karen Sajet, or Fleet Command. The whole trailer is basically structured to take you through the journey of the previous games, a bit of a recap in a way, and as the trailer unfolds we'll see some familiar sights and some new sights as well.
I remember the Kartoba, an island in a dune sea. I remember the Guide Stone, the Diamond Shoals.
We're treated to a beauty shot of the Kartoba wreck from both the first game and the prequel, Deserts of Karak. The discovery of the wreck is what kicks off the whole epic journey from Karak to Higara. The visual is great with the sun glinting off the ancient wreck, and it brings us back to where it all began, with the exile of the Kushan and how they eventually ended up on Karak, this desert world. The Guide Stone, one of the most iconic visuals in the Homeworld series. We never got to see it rendered like this before. We start to hear some singing in the background. It's definitely a version of the amazing Adagio for strings from the soundtrack to Homeworld 1. This asteroid field is the Diamond Shoals mission from the first game, according to the narrator. At first I was a bit confused why this is mentioned specifically, but it's the mission where the Medusi first show up once you clear the field. Makes sense that it would be featured like that now.
The sisters of Balcora, spinning 100 billion stars. The song of the core.
And then we get a beautiful view of the Whirlpool Galaxy as the narrator talks about something called the Sisters of Balcora. Back in Homeworld 2, Balcora was the name of a massive black hole cluster at the center of the galaxy. The gravity well of the black holes prevents anyone from hyperspacing into that region of space, but there's a progenitor gate right at the edge, leading to the main prize that everyone was after in Homeworld 2, Sajuk. Now we get to the in-game scenes. We get to see a ship enter hyperspace, and it looks like the Mothership from previous games, but the hull panels are different. It looks way more monolithic, and it's just a grey color, as opposed to the fairly colorful designs from Homeworld 1 and Homeworld 2.
I remember opening the gates.
Next we see one of the hyperspace gates that Sajuk activated at the end of Homeworld 2. Apparently they enabled trade and an age of abundance. Cycles of plenty and war have come and gone, as the Steam page tells us. We fly through the gate, and after a flash we get to see some fighter craft for the first time. They look like some kind of interceptors, and the background is some kind of icy mountain. It could be an ice asteroid or some other environment like that. Now we're treated to a few short glimpses of other ships and settings. We see some small craft flying towards a huge derelict structure, apparently holding another one of the gates. I love the way the engine trails change color, the effect looks great. And now we get to see what must be the Mothership of Homeworld 3, and it's not presented vertically, but horizontally. Heresy!
Heresy! Heresy! Heresy! Come on, baby, give me some heresy!
Jokes aside, we get a way better look at it, and I guess it's an interesting blend of the Kushan Banana Mothership and the Taidan Horizontal Brick Mothership. This version looks like it's also made primarily for warfare, with all the armored paneling and the angular lines. It kinda looks like a knife. We get to see the Higaran symbol on it, and in a different screenshot from the Steam store page, we also get to see a name painted on it, the Kar Kushan, which makes me wonder if something happens to the Kushan people again, and they had to load all their hopes into this ship. Seems a bit of an ominous name to give. And also, who is the fleet command for this ship? If Karen Sajet is still in Sajuk, someone else had to undergo the procedure to become fleet command. And if Karen is back, what happened to Sajuk? There are some openings that look like small launch bays, or maybe it's just the lighting. It's hard to say. Another a short shot of the interceptors. Still looks like an icy landscape. Do we get to fight in atmosphere as well? Then we see what looks like a resource collector detached from a larger utility ship. Looks like two of those can dock at once. In the background we get to see another angle of the mothership. The bright light is definitely a launch bay, and there's also a smaller closed bay to the left of the circle on the mothership, which makes me wonder if the bays open and close as things are constructed or launched. The carriers in Deserts of Karak also had this feature or behavior. Some of it is just artistic, but it does seem like this game will have more of a multiplayer component than any of the previous titles. So the bay doors being open or closed could be an indicator of tech having been researched and that class of ship is available to build, or it could be an indicator of what is currently in the build queue. The store page mentions a roguelike co-op mode and PvP battles, so I'm hopeful the game is built with PvP in mind from the ground up. We get to see more yellow color on the Mothership class vessel, so it's not as monolithic as it seemed at first. There's also lots of protrusions at the front, probably sensors and such. We're treated to another series of shots. This time I fly through another derelict with some of the lantern things from the initial teaser trailer present. Wonder what this sequence is all about, maybe the very first cutscene? We get to see Karan in a control harness or in the mothership core with cables attached to her head. It looks like she's responding to something as she suddenly turns her head. A red fighter craft is under fire. It looks like some kind of testing installation. Seems to be in orbit around the planet, the same one as from the fleet screenshot from the Steam store page. Could be an early version of the first level for the campaign. Next up we have an interesting view of a large derelict. The developers at BBI have been talking a lot about the Megaliths that were initially planned for Homeworld 2 and how the tech simply wasn't there at the time. Now it looks like we'll get to not only see these Megaliths, but get to explore them up close and fly all around them. So it'll be interesting to see how pathfinding in space is going to work with these megalithic structures. I think there are more of those lantern sphere things in the distance there. Wonder just what those things are. Might just be ambient lighting in the end or something. This seems to be a key feature of the gameplay so far, and there have been mentions of building things directly on the megaliths, defending key points on them, and so on. We just don't have any definitive information on this yet. A few more quick shots of the interceptors on the icy map, and then we get to see some larger ships, possibly frigate class. It looks like they have some kind of weapon pods attached at the sides, 3 triangular modules with covers. Onto a few more beauty shots of ships flying over different environments. It does look very good, and the scale feels great. If you think about it, in the previous games you just got to see these massive derelict structures in the background and couldn't really interact with them. Now they're both the background and the very place where the gameplay also takes place. After another brief glimpse of the Mothership class ship, we get to see a new structure. Looks like another Hyperspace gate complex, but with 2 gates in a single structure. Some yellow engine trails, probably of enemy vessels, and even more of those lanterns floating around. I'm starting to think they're there to lead you to places of interest on the derelicts. Another short flash of Karen reacting. We'll get to see more of these as the video goes on. It looks like they're trying to show us how she reacts to what's going on as things happen in space, seeing how she's the nerve center of whatever ship she's plugged into. Arguably she is the ship she's plugged into. Anyway, a few interceptors flying down a long trench, kind of looks like the Death Star trench run. And another short flash of Karen, and finally get to see more of the belly of the Mothership class vessel. Looks like those smaller bright ports on the ship are meant for turrets. We get to see 2 of those hard points open fire on something off screen. This just makes me feel so happy that they're embracing more of the carrier mechanics from Deserts of Karak for Homeworld 3. Those carriers were quite capable of defending themselves, and this mothership looks like more and more a warship and carrier hybrid than just a purely utility or construction ship. It's pretty thick. Kinda looks like the Supremacy from The Last Jedi, actually. Looks like the targets were asteroids, so this ship is more than capable of defending itself by the look of things. The ship appears to be under attack in the next wide shot, parked in front of one of the gates. I'm not sure if those frigates class ships are attacking the mothership or not. At first I thought they're ion cannon frigates or some such, but it looks like they're actually more like huge railguns, judging from the trail. We got another brief glimpse of more fighting among the derelict structures. Angles of attack and ambushes are definitely possible with terrain like that. And here we get a look at a carrier being launched from the mothership. It looks like a large brick, to be honest, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to do anything flashy besides build smaller ships and house them. The large panel below has to be the cover for the large opening up above. This part of the design of the mothership is carried from game to game. Finally, we get to see some larger capital ships. These things have some design similarities to the destroyer class ships from the previous titles. I love the little engine exhaust all over the hull firing to maneuver the ship. Lots more detail for every ship this time around, it seems. Another look at Karen, some fighters doing some fancy maneuvers, and a better look at the utility ship with the resource collectors. Seems it has 4 docking ports for collectors, so it's definitely a dedicated mining ship. Another one of those frigates with weapon pods is in the background there. We got to see some of the red ships up close now. Looks like it's all ships from the same faction, just a different color in this trailer. And there's an ion beam hitting one of them, so there's definitely ion cannons somewhere in the game. These frigates are the same design that were attacking the mothership previously. And now we have some more fast-paced cuts to what looks like a dogfight, more Karen, and then some sped-up footage of the larger ships getting pummeled. The game is supposed to feature a lot more persistent damage effects on your ship, something about the scars of previous battles remaining with the ship and such. So it looks great so far. Some more dogfights around the mothership and quick cuts to Karen, the large trench on the derelict, and the icy background map. In the short shot of the trench, it looks like something on the derelict got targeted and blown up, at least from this angle. And these maps must be huge. The intensity is ramping up, both of the footage, the music, and Karen's reactions to things. One of the frigates with the pods open now reveals them to be missile pods, and that's a lot of missiles there. The red ships in these sequences are definitely just the same classes of ships as the Kushan ships, but painted red. At this point in development it makes sense though, probably still dialing in the designs and feel of the primary faction at this stage, you know, the faction you're going to be playing through the campaign. And we get a great shot of a destroyer shooting at something off screen and missiles hitting it. Somehow that shot looks like the destroyer is seriously legging it or trying to get away from something. The destroyer gets blown up, but we do get to see a shot of it from above or below. The turrets look flatter and flusher with the hull than previous designs, and there's more of the maneuvering jets firing on it, and I just love those details.
Was it so long ago? No, not so long. But not long enough.
As we get a pull-out view of the double gate derelict, Karen goes on to say, "Was it so long ago? No, not so long, but not long enough," as she frowns at the camera. I don't really know what to make of it. It seems like there's something she resents about the whole thing. From the lore of the previous games, it was made clear that she didn't like to be portrayed as some sort of godly figure, so maybe that'll play into the story somehow. I mean, is she the antagonist? The fluff on the Steam store page just says that Karen, who has passed into myth and religious idolatry, is the key to the mystery threatening a galaxy's future. So we might go looking for her to help fix whatever is wrong with the gates. We'll have to wait and see. We get treated to a very nice sequence where Karen looks up, closes her eyes, and spreads her arms, and that visual gets overlaid with the Homeworld 3 logo. There are lots of new imagery and glimpses of actual gameplay in this trailer, and I'm just very excited for more. What did you think of the trailer? Did you spot any details I missed? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this overview of the trailer for Homeworld 3. If you liked this video, give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more Homeworld content and content from other games. You can also find me on Twitter and on Twitch. Have a great day, and I'll talk at you next time.